Welcome back, friends, to another The City of Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video. Lids87 here, and today I am bringing you guys yet another Are They Worth It video, where I cover characters on the banner to see if they are worth your precious tickets and or gems. Before I get into it though, friends, please remember to hit that like and subscribe button. Guys, I'm almost at 5,000 subscribers on YouTube. I would greatly appreciate if we could get there like before the end of the year. That'd be amazing. I appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. You guys are great. Just remember, like a year and a half ago, I was like at 50 subscribers. That was so exciting. Now we're almost at 5,000. You guys are great. I appreciate the love and support you guys have been showing up to the streams. I love you guys. Without you guys, there's no me, so to say. So again, I appreciate all of you guys. I cannot say anything more than that. I appreciate you, fam. Now, on August 31st, UTC 10, we will be getting a Lost Chapter challenge quest until September 14th. Good luck with that. Keeper of Fear, where Machina will be featured in, of course, in his own event and in the Beat Back event, which is the following one, where you will be able to farm for his dojos as link butt rewards, boosted stats. So he's going to be a nice party member for that challenge stage. And what else we got here? So let's talk about Sid and Rem and Machina. They will be getting some character boards during Machina's event, and Sid will be getting a rework. Rem will still be the same. Machina's not getting a rework. Machina is just getting boards. Vaughn will be featured as the burst character in Machina's event. Now, just like I mentioned, so here we go. Vaughn is featured. Only his burst weapon will be on the banner. Machina will be getting a new weapon in the form of an LD weapon. He really needs it. It's a great weapon for him, and we'll talk about that in a moment. And then on this banner we have Sid's returning EX weapon. We got Rem, she's returning with her EX weapon, and you can also pick up Machina's EX weapon on this banner also if you did not pick it up from before when Machina first debuted in the game. Now let's talk about the very first character on this banner, and it's gonna be Sid. He is gonna be getting a rework and an EX plus on this banner. So some pros about Sid. Now this is more like also like a character recap. So Sid is a ranged attacking unit, and he does have the wind element built into his kit, into his utility, so to say. He is able to self-sustain with Dragon, which is pretty much his upgraded HP attack, while Dragoon is active. Now he is a pseudo healer with his C50. He is able to self-sustain himself with his Dragon after he dumps out his HP. After he dumps out his Brave, he is able to heal back up his HP based on HP damage dealt. But if he exceeds his HP once he's full on HP, some of that will splash over to his allies. It's not very potent. It's 10% of an ally's max HP. 50% of HP recovered in access is shared with the allies, so I guess take that in mind. Sure, I guess it's kind of weird. He's an attacking unit with a little bit of healing. I don't know what they were thinking there, but it is what it is. Now, I will say this, I do like his upgraded Brave attack, his boost jump. It's a 3-hit AoE, wind, range, Brave, plus single target HP attack. Recovers 50% Brave of HP damage dealt. I really like these. I wish more units had these. There are characters that have upgraded Brave attacks like these. Just a few that come off the top of my head is Alphino when he gets Obsidian Carbuncle, Garnet when she's in her Thunderstar state, where they are able to dump out their Brave HP attack but get Brave refunded, so you don't have to worry about getting broken getting broken in the process after dumping out your Brave, because in some instances you have to just Brave attack, but if said unit is still being targeted often, you don't have a Brave healer. Why don't you have a Brave healer on the team? You're going to be Brave attacking, or if you dump out the Brave, there's a good chance you might take a Brave plus HP attack, just because the game is rigged that way. So being able to dump out said Brave but getting Brave refund, I love that. I love that. I love that. I can't wait until they really start implementing that into characters' kit. They really won't. There's characters that do get it, but not all of them will. Now, he is also a mini delayer with his EX weapon. At base 2 out of 3, he's able to delay said targets, and he can remove one buff from the target with his Dragon Dive, which is his second ability. Now, I mean, there are other characters that are able to do this. If you give Cloud his Crimson Edge, his World of Illusion weapon, he is able to remove one buff whenever he crits. This is once per turn, so to say. He is able to imperil Wind with his EX weapon being at EX plus 0 out of 3. He is one element, so that will let him dish out just that much more damage. Now he is able to grant himself 2 frame buffs that they primarily boost his own stats, mainly his attack and max brave. So with his Lancer, which he gets from hyper jump, 60% to max brave, 70% to attack, and this will grant him boost jump, which is his upgraded brave attack. With Dragoon, which he gains from Dragon Dive, he gets 60% to attack, 60% to max brave, plus 30% to speed, and this is where he gets access to his Dragon, which is upgraded HP attack, and this is where he is able to self-sustain his HP by dumping out the Brave by using his upgraded HP attack, and potentially pseudo healer to the party, 10% of said allies max HP. EX Plus recommendation. Now if you are going to build or invest in Sid, first and foremost, you are a Final Fantasy VII fan, so nothing but respect to you. I love Final Fantasy VII. Also greatest Final Fantasy VII of all time. Here comes the hate from the Final Fantasy VI players. I'm sorry. And the 15. But if you are going to invest in him, EX Plus 3 out of 3, because his EX ability pretty much becomes a mini version of Omni Slash. He attacks like crazy. So at EX Plus 0 out of 3, wind resist down to all enemies. Again, this is going to help him out just with his damage. So at EX Plus 3 out of 3, when using Big Bro, which is his EX ability, ranged brave hit and HP attack delivered 7 times, 13 times. What? So he is hitting a lot, but depending on the number of enemies that there are, the attacks are distributed, so he's not going to just primarily focus on one. He will be jumping around from enemy to enemy, just dishing out those Brave plus HP attacks. So it's a great way to dump out the initial Brave, but then afterwards, just lots of Brave plus HP attacks. So again, if you are going to be investing in him, EX plus 3 out of 3, just so he can be doing the most damage, especially as we go onto the harder content, because you're going to want him to dish out as much damage as he possibly could. Now, if you do happen to max out his EX weapon, he does have an A-type bonus sphere, so while his HP is at max, this will raise his max brave by 5% and increase brave damage dealt by 5%. Let's take a look at Sid's cons now. There are some cons. I could be nitpicky here. That's just me. So EX ability damage, it is distributed, so if you're trying to focus down one enemy, that you might not be able to burst down said enemy, so to say. Like there's a one boss that you have to kill off before the second one. His HP attacks, his brave plus HP attacks are distributed evenly, so you're not going to be able to take care of that boss, so to say, as quickly as you would want to. Be careful when you do go up against enemies that do absorb wind. They're going to shut out Sid, and I would say he is not the most effective tactics available. Put those together, he's not really meta, so to say. Just going down the line, Sid unfortunately is going to fall off. A lot of units that do not receive any kind of LD, if your name isn't Realm, right? If you don't have an LD weapon, if you're not Realm, they're going to fall off. There's a good chance they're going to fall off unless they have some really nice utility built into their kit, like Rem, for example, who is one of the units on this banner. So he's going to fall off to other range type attackers, and there's one very powerful one coming to us on the horizon in the form of Noctis. Time to talk about the main unit on this banner, and that is going to be Machina. I really don't know his background, but I found out the shit he did, and oh my gosh, what the hell, Machina. You're still pretty cool in the game, but gosh damn, dude, seriously. So let's talk about Machina. Character recap, pros, so to say. Now, Machina is a selfish melee attacker. Now, when I say selfish, I mean, maybe he was selfish in the game. I don't know. I have to play Type 0. I have to finish it to see what actually truly did happen. I know what happened, but I want to find out what happened. But when I say selfish, that mainly means they primarily focus on themselves with really no party-wide effects or utility, so to say. Now, all of his abilities except Awakening, which is his first ability, will refund Brave based on HP damage dealt, so that's gonna help you or keep you safe from getting broken. Now, talking about getting broken, his C40 is interesting. It's kind of like a Last Stand buff, but with Brave. Now, when I talk about Last Stand buff, you may call it other things. So when I refer to Last Stand, it's like when a unit takes massive amounts of Brave to HP damage, and their HP exceeds 50% of their own HP, they will survive with 1 HP, right? So Last Stand, they're still going to survive. They will survive a lethal hit. Machina, it works with his Brave. It prevents break status if Brave is at least 50%. So Last Stand with his Brave value remains at 1. So he's getting back Brave regen with all of his abilities except Awakening, and he is able to prevent break if his Brave is at least 50% of his Brave. So you can just really just go ham with this guy. You're getting the Brave refund back, and you should be saved from a break. Now his skill 1 Awakening has no action delay, does some damage, and grants him his Awakening buff, which is primarily where he gets the most of his stats. His skill 2 Cyclone Drive is purely just damage. Let's take a look at his Awakening buff, and yeah, there's a lot on the screen, and this is all attached to his Awakening buff. So it's his Awakening buff, again, he gets with his Awakening skill 1 or at EX plus 2 out of 3. When the quest starts, he will gain access to Awakening. He gets plus 80% to attack, 80% to max spray, 50% to speed, and grants Furious Blades, which is his upgraded HP attack. Now at C50, this will increase the effects by 10% to max brave and attack. Dual wielding honor student boost 2-star, his artifact passive, will increase the stats to max brave and attack by 5% while Awakening is active. So if you have 3 of these suckers, you're going to have plus 15% to max brave and attack. His North enchantment board, his own character board, the North Path gives him 10% attack to Awakening and 10% to max brave, and a C54 gives him plus 40% to attack and plus 60% to defense. So in grand total, if I did my math correctly, this is plus 155% to attack, 115 to max brave, 60 to defense, 50% to speed, and access to Furious Blade. Now that's quite the potent passives for Machina. It's just gonna really help out his damage, and mind you guys, this is all in one framed buff on him, so you can stack all other sorts of attack passives onto Machina, and he's just going to be hitting pretty damn hard, especially if you enhance him with some kind of element and you are able to imperil the enemy with said element. Machina is going to be hitting pretty damn hard. Now another great thing about Machina is that he actually does have access to free turns while Awakening is active with Furious Blades Plus. Now you gain access to Furious Blades Plus when you break a target with Awakening, his first ability, Furious Blades, or his upgraded Brave attack. So attack with Awakening, Furious Blades, or upgraded Brave attack. You break the target on the following turn. Furious Blades will be Furious Blades Plus with upgraded HP attack. So use that free turn. You dump out said damage, and I mean that's pretty much it. Free turns. Yay. Now his other buff that he gets is Guardian Blades, which he gains access to this with his EX ability, Guardian Blades. This grants him access to 20% max brave, brave regen, 60% of int brave, 30% brave damage reduction. So this is gonna really still help him further for him to hang on to his brave refund on top of his C40 last stand with his own brave. It's gonna be a little bit harder to break this guy. I mean, once bosses start hitting a lot harder than trucks, then you might have to worry a little bit. But 30% brave damage reduction, pair this guy with Aphmau, and this guy will rarely get broken. Not only that, with Guardian Blades, he is able to counter Brave attacks with counter, so it's just a 2-hit melee Brave attack. The only downside of this, though, I mean, there is no HP attack, but that could be a pro, that could be a con, depending on the situation. But him being able to counter is always a plus in my books. Now let's take a look at Machina's LD ability, Stunning Slash. You will be getting an LD weapon. Oh no, man, it's good, fam. It is really good. Now, besides doing the wonderful damage that he does with his LD ability, he will be able to inflict something called Spyro's link chips. I don't know. It's a target. So this will lower the enemy speed by 30%. Okay, that really doesn't sound too exciting. We'll talk about that in a moment. He then grants himself Piercing Power, which further boosts his attack by 40%, and he now can have 20% extra stolen Max Brave Overflow. So there is no action delay, and this does not consume ability use on the next turn. We're going to circle back to this in a quick moment here. So when you attack a target afflicted with Spyro's Linchpin, he will follow up with damage. So the damage is a 4-hit melee AoE Brave plus AoE HP attack. And this will heal his Brave by 30% of HP damage dealt. But this follow-up damage, this will not be triggered when he counters or during a chase sequence attack. This is important because this is going to let Machina absolutely dish out a lot of damage, especially later down the line once you get all the extensions, which we will talk about at a later part of this video. Now, what you're going to be doing again with Stunning Slash, there is no action delay and does not consume ability use on the following turn. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to be using Stunning Slash, okay? Dish out that damage. The enemies will be inflicted with Spyro's Linchpin. Then go into Awakening, because Awakening does not have there's no action delay, so Machina can act immediately. So Stunning Slash into Awakening, there's already going to be follow-up damage with Awakening on top of the damage that Awakening already does, right? And then after that, depending if you broke the target with Awakening, then he will have access to Furious Blade Plus, which you can just use Furious Blade Plus to get a free turn and dump out that damage with the follow-up attack, and he will Brave Refund himself. Or you can just use his second ability to dish out more damage, then follow up the attack. So just the amount of damage that you can dish out with Machina, it's gonna be really good. And the fact that he could Brave Refund himself after all of these, it's gonna be even more wonderful. Just be sure that the enemy is inflicted with Spyro's Linchpin, so he can dish out that follow-up damage. Because if the enemy does not have that, if they're immune to debuffs or they can cleanse themselves, there goes his damage. There goes Machina's damage. So be sure to keep an eye on that, fam, so Machina can dish out the most of his damage. Cons. There's a little bit more on this guy's than Sid's, but I mean, at the same time, I'm starting to be nitpicky here. So Machina's kit really does revolve around his Awakening buff. You guys saw the potencies of that thing. So if he's dispelled, there goes his potencies. But it is very, very easy to get Awakening back on him. Just use Awakening. His first ability, he has it back. So that's just keep an eye out, fam. If he gets dispelled, be sure to use Awakening immediately. Also, be very careful when spamming his abilities. You could easily get carried away, and before you know it, you're going to run out of abilities. Because as you guys saw, the potential, what you guys can do with his LD ability into his first ability. And if you guys keep spamming that, his EX ability will be up, and then vice versa. Just spamming abilities, just be careful, you might run out. And this is even more so true during the Lufenia era. But not only that, the fact that there's going to be a new mechanic introduced during the Lufenia era, in terms of there's going to be a new timer count orb. If that thing runs out, the enemy is going to do a massive HP attack, and there are certain conditions to stop this or for it to count down. A lot of a huge proportion of the times for that counter to start counting down is when your character attacks. So if Machina cannot meet a condition to reset that counter, he's gonna be really ticking down that counter, letting the enemy pretty much do a massive attack. Because once that timer runs out, the boss is gonna do a big AoE attack there. You're gonna get dispelled, you're gonna get attacked, there's a good chance you're gonna die. A huge portion of the chance you're gonna die. There's a few bosses where you'll survive that counter, but you're gonna die. So be mindful of that as we go forward and into the Lufenia era. And he really doesn't have any party like utility, you know, no breaking the target's delaying, no any cool debuffs or whatnot besides his debuff from his LD ability that lets him do a follow-up. So he is truly a selfish attacker, but he does it very well. Alright, friends and fam, now we are at that part of the video. Are they worth it? Are these units worth your hard-earned tickets and or gems, and especially that we're starting to pity burst banners? Alright, so are they worth it? Tickets, you better pray for that LD weapon. And gems, it really depends. Are you skipping Ramza later down the line? Now let's talk about right now at this moment. Sid, I have to be really honest here. He's not gonna last that long at all. Like I mentioned earlier, unless your name is Realm, and once the Lufenia era hits, Sid's gonna drop off. All right, he's gonna drop off in damage. I mean, he will be fine with the easier content, like for example, chaos stages. If you really want to test out some party buffers for other units, if you're a Final Fantasy VII fan, then he's gonna be just fine for you to use on said content. But again, once we hit the Lufenia era, Sid is just gonna fall off. He's gonna go right back to the bench. He's gonna be sitting right next to Tidus, and then they're gonna be waiting for something massive to happen to them later down the line. Honestly, I prefer Rem over Sid in this case, only because Rem, if you're not familiar with what she does have party utility in regards to her swap. She's able to bring another unit's turn right next to hers, and she is also able to heal massive single target healing to a party member. So in regards to utility, I would prefer Rem over Sid any day. Now Machina himself, he's actually pretty good, honestly. Big potency buffs with his awakening buff. You guys saw the numbers earlier. Being able to dish out a lot of damage with back-to-back turns in regards to his LD ability, into his awakening, into his upgraded HP attack, or his second ability, just being able to dish out all that damage. And not only that, his follow-up damage with his LD abilities with the debuff. With Spyro's Linchpin, if you have that debuff and you do all these wonderful turn manipulation shenanigans, free turn shenanigans that Machina has built into his kit, you're going to be dishing out a lot of damage with Machina, especially if you can enhance him with an element and impair him with an element, because he is a non-elemental melee unit. He's going to be hitting pretty damn hard, especially later down the line when he gets his LD extension. So just, I mean, looking at this banner right now, just right now, don't worry about Ramza just this second. Machina, in my opinion, is worth it. Now, if we start bringing in these upcoming banners that we have on the horizon, we have Noctis, we have Lightning later down the line when Machina gets his LD extension, you want to start being a little bit more mindful of your gems, because again, it's always possible that you could pity Machina's LD weapon. So in this case right now, tickets, if you happen to pick up Machina's LD weapon, it is worth it. You are done. Gems wise, you better not be chasing Sid unless you're a Final Fantasy VII fan. Machina is worth it in regards to gems, because he is a long-term investment because of his LD extensions later down the line. So he's okay to chase with gems. Again, just be mindful of what's coming. Be aware of your resources. If you have some resources to spare, Machina, in my opinion, is worth it. But again, be mindful again of once we do enter the Lufenia era, and if he cannot meet certain conditions to reset a Lufenia orb counter, Machina will be bringing down that counter fairly quickly. So if that's the case, then I wouldn't really go too crazy for him unless you can meet set conditions. He was used in a few Lufenias, so there is that in regards to longevity. But Machina is, at the end of the day, okay, he is a strong character. He is a very strong character. He can dish out a lot of damage. So tickets, again, pray for the LD. If you get Machina's LD, win. Awesome. If you're going to be chasing Vaughn's burst weapon, I really don't recommend you chase Vaughn's burst weapon, but hey, if he's a favorite, this is a good banner to pick it up on. Now, if you will be skipping Ramza later down the line, then pick up Machina here. Okay, this is a good spot to pick up Machina. If you're not going to be skipping out on Ramza later down the line, I mean, maybe still throw some tickets here, because if you pick up the LD, you don't have to worry about throwing resources later down the line. And if you happen to pick up Ramza's LD weapon early, you can hop over to the banner with Machina's LD and Ramza's burst banner and chase on that banner to potentially get Ramza's burst while chasing Machina's LD weapon. So at the end of the day, I think Machina himself, he is worth it. But just be mindful of those other powerful units that we will be receiving in the game just a little bit down the line. Now it's time to take a peek into the future to see where these units will be coming back, for any future planners to see if they want to skip them now, or if you guys want to pick them up later down the line. So Sid does make a comeback, surprisingly, with Pestil's kid. So Junior here, Theodore, hopefully I'm pronouncing his name. It's going to be Theodore's debut banner, Final Fantasy IV. After years, I believe. Correct me down below in the comments if I am wrong. So Junior here, he's a pretty good unit. Massive holy damage. He's able to also imperil holy, party-wide buffs, HP, and brave healers. So Theodore is a nice pickup later down the line. Onion Knight is on here. It's just his burst. Onion Knight, with his burst effect, he will increase either physical or magic attack depending on what stance he is in when you use his finish burst. And he is also able to increase brave damage by 50%. Remember we talked about Sid's bonus here by 5%? Onion Knight is able to do that with his burst effect by 50% though, and he does also increase HP damage dealt by 20%. With Onion Knight's LD, if you pick it up from beforehand, he has like an Ignis-like party manipulation effect where Ignis, when used as the X ability, he brings his party members next to him. Onion Knight can do that with his LD on command, and he will give said allies a free ability use for 1 turn. So Onion Knight's LD is pretty damn busted. So if you're going to be skipping out on Sid during Machina's debut banner, which you should skip out on Sid, don't invest on him unless you could use him for the challenge stage. Here's another good spot to pick up Sid, especially if you're a Final Fantasy VII fan, because Theodore is pretty damn good and Onion Knight is pretty damn good also. Machina makes a comeback on Ramza's burst banner. We also have Maria on the upper right hand corner, I can remember her name, and we have Pain. Nothing too special there. So Machina, this is a interesting time because on this banner, it could change on the global side of the game depending on what they decide to do. But on this banner, on the JP side of the game, this is where LD extensions were introduced into the game. So on the characters board, you guys know how there's 3 branching paths. There's going to be a 4th one added right down the middle, down the center, on the bottom, and that is going to focus on a character's LD, and the very last portions of it that's where the LD extension is. So with Machina's extension, it's 2 sets of Brave plus HP attack. So right now with his LD currently with his LD, when he gets it, it's just going to be a set of Brave plus HP attack. This will be 2 sets of Brave plus HP attacks. He will be able to follow up his attack because during these Brave plus HP attacks, he will be able to inflict Spiral Lunge Pin during the first set of Brave plus HP attacks. So he will follow up with damage. So more potency. Brave heal before follow-up attack with Stunning Slash. So my gosh, I cannot tell you how much damage Machina can do later down the line. I'm still amazed to this day. When I was using him, like my jaw was dropped. I was like, how he was able to exceed the damage cap. And Ramza's getting a rework. This is the 2nd banner, so his LD is not on this banner. It's on the first one. Ramza, rework. Ramza's getting a rework so he can break an enemy by shouting. Ramza has mastered the Thune and can automatically break an enemy by shouting at them. He can now heal party members' HP, which is pretty nice. That's a nice touch, truthfully. Yeah, with his LD, he can launch a Brave Heal. He can delay all the targets with his LD. Burst effect, massive amounts of stats to the party based off of how many buffs there are on said party members. So in regards to support character, Ramza does make quite the comeback. He is a very good support character to pick up with his burst weapon, and depending on your luck on the LD banner, if you pick up Ramza's LD weapon early, you could hop onto this banner in hopes to get Machina's LD weapon on this banner to chase while chasing Ramza's burst weapon. But if you do decide, this is where I'm saying, like, if you, depending on what your plans are, if you do want to chase for Ramza, maybe pick up Machina's LD weapon early during Machina's Lost Chapter. See how RNG is on your side. That way you have a character who has longevity, so to say, because he's going to be making a comeback with his LD extensions on this banner right here. So you don't have to chase on the 2nd banner. But if you're not going to be skipping Ramza, then potentially wait to see how RNG is on your side during the 1st banner. And again, if you get Ramza's LD weapon early, then chase on this banner. You could potentially pick up Machina's LD weapon in the process. All right, fam. So that is what I believe would be the best approach to approaching these banners in the future. That is it for this video, friends. I want to thank you guys for watching another Are They Worth It video. Be sure to let me know down below in your comments what you guys think. I know it's a lot to think about, truthfully. Like, as we go on, it's a lot to think about planning wise. I try to give you guys the best information in regards to like if you guys should pull now, if you guys should pull later in regards to planning wise. Me personally, I am gonna be chasing for Ramza down the line. So I'm gonna see what tickets does for me now, because if I can pick up Machina's LD, I guess now, I don't have to waste them on that 2nd banner. Everything can go towards that 1st banner for Ramza's LD and or burst weapon. But I'm still hesitant. We will see, because we have Noctis on the horizon, we have Bosch on the horizon, we have Lightning sometime down the line. So if anything, at least tickets on Machina's Lost Chapter banner in hopes to pick up Machina's LD weapon. If I pick up Sid, awesome. But he's going to the bench. I'm just a Final Fantasy VII fan. I don't have Sid's EX weapon. So I would love it just for the Final Fantasy VII hype. All right, fam. So again, let me know your own personal comments. Am I crazy with my suggestions? All that wonderful stuff down below in the comments. All right, fam. So until next time, good luck. You guys are amazing. And until next time, friends, have a good one.